16th century evolution of Indian press. Printing presses were first brought to India in the 16th century by Christian missionaries for publishing evangelical literature. Their publications included the Bible and other literature to assist conversion and evangelization. Dr. Nada Krishnamurthy states in his work Indian Journalism that the first printed book in India was Doctrina Christi, a missionary publication in 1557 in Goa. The second printing press in India was established in 1578 at Punakol, in Tirunelveli district in Tamil Nadu. The English East India Company also set up printing presses in different places for the efficient administration of the subcontinent. James Augustus Hickey, a British citizen, published the first newspaper in India. The first issue appeared on January 29, 1780 in Calcutta, bearing the name Bengal Gazette or Calcutta General Advertiser. Sir James Silk Buckingham, one of the important personalities in Indian journalism, assumed the editorship of Calcutta Journal in 1818. The first issue of the paper appeared in Calcutta on October 2, 1818. It was an 8-page bi-weekly newspaper priced at Rupee 1. Its contents included political, commercial and literary news and views. Thus Calcutta Journal was entirely different from Hickey's Gazette. He was fearless in condemning the local custom of sati and the government's failure to put an end to it. He gave prominence to news and views from Bengali and Persian journals. British authorities became intolerant on account of his persistent criticism of their policies. John Adam, the acting Governor-General, deported Buckingham to England. The Serampore trio, William Carey, William Ward and Joshua Marshman, made an important contribution to the emergence of newspaper in Indian language. In June 1818 the trio organized the first Indian language newspaper, Digdarshan. The Friend of India was a monthly magazine in English started on April 30, 1818. It stopped publication in 1827 due to financial constraints. Rajaram Ramohan Roy is considered by most historians as the father of Indian journalism. The first attempt at an Indian language newspaper by an Indian, Sambad Kaumudi. It was a weekly in Bengali published in December 1821. The Calcutta Journal, edited by James Silk Buckingham, gave ample publicity in its columns to this new Indian project. He also launched an English magazine, Brahmanical magazine, to counter the theological criticisms raised by the missionaries against the Vedanta philosophy through the columns of Samachar Darpan. He also started a Persian weekly, Marat-ul-Akbar. Through the above journals, Ramohan tried to counter the accusations of the missionaries on the one hand and to form public opinion in favor of social reforms on the other. These publications marked the real beginning of journalism in India as they were addressed to Indians in their own languages. 19th century freedom movement and the press. The pioneering work of Ramohan Roy in the field of journalism in the early 19th century led to a gradual growth of newspapers, magazines and other publications in India. Birth of Indian National Congress. Founded by Alan Octavian Hume in 1885, which was in subsequent years responsible for freeing the country from British imperialism. The first session of the Indian National Congress in Bombay was attended by founders and editors of leading newspapers. World War I in the press in India. 3 days after the declaration of the war, an order was issued by the Government of India taking control of the press in India and controlling the publication of naval and military news. The Anglo-Indian press opined that nationalist activities should give way to the necessities created by the war, but the Indian nationalist press pleaded that British government should accord to Indians the rights and liberties for which the Allies were fighting in Europe.
Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi emerged as an important leader of the freedom movement in the post-war period. He edited 3 publications, namely, Young India, Harijan, and Navjeevan. Through these journals, Gandhi guided the national movement and propagated his ideas of non-violence and satyagraha. The Government of India issued the Indian Press Ordinance of 1930 in order to control the press. This ordinance was passed specifically to prevent the nationalist press from covering Gandhi's historic Dandi March in 1930. Newspapers were asked to deposit huge securities whenever the authorities made a demand. Several more English and regional newspapers began in various parts of the country declaring support to the national movement. The Indian Express, Free Press Journal, The Dawn, Hindustan, Blitz, National Herald, Matribhumi etc. aroused national consciousness in the length and breadth of the country. Quit India movement. The British authorities made every effort to control and muzzle the nationalist press during the Quit India movement launched by Indian National Congress in 1942. Gandhiji suspended the publication of Harijan and other weeklies on account of pre-censorship imposed by the government. National Herald was closed down in August 1942 and it could resume publication only in 1945. Role of Mahatma Gandhi as a journalist. Along with the active leadership in the freedom struggle, Gandhi was also a great journalist and promoter of newspapers. Indian Opinion was a weekly published in 4 languages, namely English, Gujarati, Tamil and Hindi during 1903 to 1915 in South Africa. Gandhiji returned from South Africa and began his political activities in India. He was the editor of Young India and Harijan.
Press in the post-independence era. The Indian press includes 48 centenarians. The Gujarat Daily Mumbai Samachar, published from Mumbai, is the oldest surviving newspaper. It was first published in 1822. As on 31st of March 2014, there were 13,350 registered dailies on Registrar of Newspapers for India's record. As per the data from annual statements, 2013-14 received, the highest numbers of newspapers were published in Hindi, 3,213, followed by Urdu, 929, English, 695, and Telugu 562. In circulation, Hindi newspapers continued to lead with 12,64,77,693 copies, followed by English with 3,31,48,808 copies. Among language dailies, Hindi lead with 942 newspapers, followed by 201 in English. The languages that published more than 100 daily newspapers were Urdu, 191, Telugu, 147, Marathi, 130, and Gujarati, 100. Circulation-wise, Hindi dailies maintained its dominance with 3,76,42,520 copies. English dailies have a circulation of 1,29,14,581 copies.
Press Council of India. The notion of a national press council in India was introduced by the First Press Commission Report of 1954. It would be their responsibility to censure anyone guilty of breach of the ethics of the profession, besides fostering the development of the press and protecting it from external pressures. Indian Newspaper Society is the central body representing newspaper publishers. Founded in 1939, the society safeguards and promotes the interests of newspaper proprietors. The INS was earlier known as the Indian and Eastern Newspaper Society. Press Trust of India was set up as a result of the efforts of INS. The society was also instrumental in the formation of the Audit Bureau of Circulation in 1948. There are nearly 700 members in the INS. The Audit Bureau of Circulation in India, founded in 1948, is a non-profit association consisting of publishers, advertisers and advertising agencies. Its headquarters is in Bombay.